So appetite loss. I used to think years ago, and I didn't understand the grievance cycle. I remember people when they would get a divorce, they go through the separation, get a divorce. I noticed how slim they got. And they really would look good. And I'm thinking, if you did that before, you wouldn't be separated now. And then I didn't know it's because they were going through a grievance cycle. Duh. They're not trying to lose weight. They lost weight because they can't eat. They've got appetite loss, sleep loss, concentration limited. There's confusion, crying uncontrollably. I have to tell this little story on Bethany. She's not here to defend herself, but she would anyway. She giggles as I tell them, Daddy, so I'm gonna tell it. Yesterday, Linda was asking, my father-in-law asked Linda I brought him a new thermometer, a big thermometer with red light, green light, all the bells and whistles so they can see it because they're in their 80s and they were having a problem. And so I got him that one. And he calls Linda and says, where's the thermometer that David brought? My phone's dead. So Linda writes Bethany and says, where's the thermometer? Bethany misread it. She thought it said thermos. So she comes up to me and says, Daddy, where's Mama's bubble mug that I fill up with coffee in the morning? I said, well, that's home in the sink. She said, okay, so she wrote, it's at our house in the sink. And so my phone comes back on about 30 minutes later, and I see Linda saying, do you know where the thermometer's at that you brought her Dad and Mom? And I said, it's in their bedroom somewhere. And Linda wrote back, huh? Bethany says it's home in the sink. And so I asked Bethany, I said, Bethany, what? Let me read what Mama wrote. And Mama said, where's the thermometer? She thought it said thermos. She was reading so fast. And so again, confusion. That'll happen to you in the grievance cycle. You get so confused. People in the grievance cycle say, I'm so sorry. They call people other names. They just lose it. They forget stuff. They put stuff down and leave it. Here's one, crying uncontrollably. Out of nowhere, you just start crying. Disturbing dreams. You dream about the person or dream about the thing. Exhaustion. You're just totally wiped out or feeling trapped. You can't do anything about it. You're just trapped in this thing. You've lost your loved one, and things are not getting any better. They're going to get worse. So, Lamentations 3:49 says, my eyes will flow unceasingly without relief. Here's something I really like. This is the message. It says, rivers of tears pour from my eyes at the smash up of my dear people. The tears stream from my eyes as an artesian well of tears. Unto you, O God, look down from on high, look and see my tears. David said, there was times where he said, my tears were my meat day and night. Meaning, well, here it goes. It's his meat day and night. He has disturbing dreams. He's exhausted. He feels trapped. He's lost his appetite. He has uncontrollable crying. Wow. So again, here it goes. The people in the Bible, they went through this stuff. A lot of times we don't realize it, but they did. They went through all these problems. So that's just a crisis stage. That's 2 to 2 weeks. That's usually just upon the, you know, and in the world, and I'm going to talk about this for a minute, in the world, usually the funeral happens 3 days after death. Sometimes 2 days. I have had it 1 day because that's the only time we can have all their people there. And I've had it where it lasted a week. And then nowadays with cremation, sometimes it might last a couple of weeks before they have the memorial service. And just like with Bill Shavner, the guy I told you, my brother that was up here, and they kept him, they buried him a week after he died. I mean, from one Friday to the next Thursday. But they didn't cremate him, but he was in his coffin from Thursday to the following Friday, because that's when the only way they could get all their people, or Saturday to the following, but that's the only way to get all the people together that need to be there. There's something called the crucible stage. This is where you actually feel like you're crucified. This is, remember the last thing, you feel trapped. On that cross, What do you feel like when your one hand's nailed, the other hand's nailed, your feet are nailed? What do you feel? Trapped. You can't move. You can't get off the cross. The pain is unbearable. No matter how you move, there's a lot of pain. You can't find a way to get the pain. Once you get the pain off your feet, they're on your hands. When you get the pain off your hands, they're on your feet. And so this is the crucible stage. And get ready, because I told you this is healthy. I'm telling you this is the healthy grievance cycle. You're going to say, well, so far you really haven't made me feel too healthy. Believe me, this really works. The crucible stage can last a year or two or more. Usually with the death of a loved one, especially the death of a spouse, husbands last, usually their grief lasts from 6 months to 18 months, or usually 6 months to a year. But a woman usually lasts from a year and a half to 3 years. Okay, because they have that deeper, you know. See, I remember this. Remember this when somebody dies, a loved one dies. Remember this. The loved one dies, but your love never dies. Okay? Think about it that way. Your loved one dies, but your love never dies. And so because of that, that's where the grief comes in, because now you've got to reconcile, I still love that person, but my loved one is gone. And so now here's all this reconciliation going on inside of your mind, inside of your spirit, inside of you, and in the surroundings. And so here it is, and the world does this. They'll give you, every place I've ever worked, which ain't been in a couple of places because I stayed there. You know what I'm saying? It was like, I enjoyed myself. What I was going to say is, though, when I worked there, if somebody died, they gave me 3 days. I don't know about you. I've never seen a place get much more than 3 days. And when you come back, it's like, okay, you've had your 3 days, now let's get back to work.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you a question. If my loved one's gone, but my love isn't, is 3 days good enough to reconcile? No, not at all. So, it can last a year or two or more, perhaps even until death, if grief is not resolved. I've heard people say this. I've heard them say it, and that's why I try my best afterwards to be there. It's because I've heard them say, everybody was wonderful to me until the funeral. Can I help you? Can I get anything for you? I remember when Beverly died, and Beverly said she didn't want a traditional funeral. She didn't want to be at the funeral home. She wanted her visitation at the house, so we had the visitation at the house. And I had some guys come up and say, well, if the visitation's at the house, let's help you. And some guys come up and they fix some stuff around the house, and other guys went outside and said, we'll park cars for you. And then somebody else come in the house and said, we're going to make sure we got all the paths so people come in the front door and go out the back. And I mean, it was awesome. People were. And after the funeral, where was all that? It was gone. That's how we do things. You know, we'll go up there and we'll be with somebody, and after the funeral, we'll say, and here's what we always say. I always say it too. Here's what we always say is, if you need me, call me. Or if I can do anything, let me know. And you're sitting there thinking, I can't even think. I saw people at the funeral, Beverly's funeral, and after the funeral, the next day I was walking in Walmart and somebody came to me and put their arms out and I said, man, you should have been there. It was an awesome funeral. And you know what they told me? I was there. I walked up to you. I hugged you. We talked. Guess what? I don't even remember. Don't even remember being there. So here's the characteristics. The crucible of grief, remember, everybody's wonderful till after the service, and then usually, because for them, they still have that remorse, and they still might have some hurt within them, but at the same time, they start moving on, because remember this, the depth of your love, or your attachment, because sometimes it's not love, if it's a job, it's an attachment. But the depth of your attachment with the loss of what you're attached to, or the depth of your love for the one you lost, the loved one, is going to determine how long. I mean, it's just like this. When you first start grieving, it's just like this. There's a big hole. And then, as you start reconciling, you start bringing it back together. And when you get over the grievance cycle, it doesn't mean you don't remember anymore. You still love them. But now you've reconciled. Okay? You've got some answers in the middle of no answers. Here's what I always tell people all the time. You know, they say, well, there's just so many unanswered questions. You know what I always tell them? Quit looking at the unanswered questions. Quit looking at the unknowns and start looking at the knowns. Take your knowns and dwell on the knowns, not the unknowns. And as God reveals more to you, as whatever comes along reveals more to you, then you dwell on that too. But until then, you better leave the unknowns alone, because the unknowns will kill you. You're sitting there going, what if? I shoulda, coulda, woulda. If I'd have been there. You know, let me tell you something. You think if I'd have been there, it would have been different? Not if they wouldn't have accepted your help. Not if they told you everything was okay. Yesterday I told my father-in-law, you need to go to the doctor. He went, I'll be all right. Take your medicine. I'll get up in a minute and take it. This morning, phone call. My blood pressure's 170 over 100. I got a temperature of 100. Yesterday would have been a whole lot simpler to do it then than today. I've done the same thing. Matter of fact, I've learned so much through this experience. I told him, see, today I apologized to him. He said, for what, Dad? I said, the times you try to help me, I push you off. I said, from here on out, I'm going to try. When you try to help me, I'm going to try just to back up and let you help. And I'll fight you every step of the way.
Sounds like Stephen, but then he had to go to get the medicine. And say, here, take some.
That's right. That's right. We try to be John Wayne. You know what? I found out sometimes when I'm trying to be John Wayne, I'm actually being a Pee Wee Herman. Okay, that's me. I didn't say y'all, I said me. So here we go. Now here it goes. The world gives you 3 days to grieve, and then it's supposed to be over. And remember, it can be 2 years. 2 years. Characteristics of the crucible stage: anger, resentment. Man, I mean, I can't believe this happened. I can't believe they got in that wreck. I can't believe that somebody got like that. I cannot believe I didn't see it. I hear it all the time. I can't believe I didn't see it. If I'd have seen it, I could have been there and I could have done something. And I tell them all the time, you know what? God knew. God knew. But if I'd have been there, if I'd have only been there, and you're angry at yourself, you're angry at the situation, you're angry, you can be angry at the person. But remember, this is all healthy. I know you're saying, well, how can this be healthy? Trust me. It's something you work through, because if you don't work through it, you will remain angry the rest of your life. Now, who wants to be angry the rest of your life? Let me know, because I don't want to be around you when you really get angry. Okay. Appetite. No appetite. No sleep. Bargaining with God. Well, you know, that happens also in anticipated loss. That's big in anticipated loss. How many's ever said, God, if you let my person that I love not be taken away, I'll go to church every time the door opens. God, if you'll make sure this don't happen, then you can depend on me anytime you call on me. And number one, God's looking at him going, that's not going to help. You don't bargain with him. Because the Bible says, if you're going to make a vow to him, you better keep it.